Yo, we just people from the north side. Once and Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your host, your boy George McKay, back with a returning guest, the Van City Vulture himself, the legend. And I say legend because you are. In your young age, you've done a lot. You've accomplished a lot. The one and only Judas Icuras, now officially signed to TNA.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. That's the first question.
Sure,
Sinner and Sate, you guys were blowing up, had a career year last year. And then we get the big news that you were signed, sealed, and delivered. You are part of that rising tag team division again in TNA. What was that whole process like? It must have been a whirlwind for you and for your tag team partner.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was just a lot of talking to a lot of different people. You know, we had a lot of really good rubs and rubbed some shoulders with some amazingly talented people that took a liking to us. Fortunately, Josh Alexander, obviously, Motor City Machine Guns. You know, I think they put in some really good words for us. Just after working them and just being good people with them. So it's amazing that stuff works out like that, because I feel like it doesn't work out for a lot of people too that get the exact same opportunities and get the exact same friends in the business, but every once in a while it really does work out. So we're really grateful to be with TNA. We honestly love it there. So far, it's been a really great atmosphere, and I think we're looking forward to the next steps. I mean, we're just getting started, right? So now that we're with Josh and stuff too, I think we're really starting to grab the reins a little bit more, which is nice. Yeah.
What's it like being part of, the Northern Army, such a killer faction? It reminds me of Team Canada of old.
Sure.
It's like a modern day Team Canada.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. That's what we're building right now with this Northern Army.
Yeah.
What's it like being under the learning tree of a Josh Alexander, having Josh Alexander being the captain of the ship, but you guys also being there to just have something like that? The whole stuff you did at BFG with Macklin, even before Macklin, was insane. It was enjoyable as hell to watch. Him getting zip tied, the three of you just, ganging up on him. All that stuff is so cool. Yeah. What's it like in this experience being part of, Josh Alexander's first real faction?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool to be a part of it for him. We feel really honored to be basically handpicked by him, because I know there's so many options. There's so many really talented people that are surrounding him, especially too. So it feels really cool to be kind of handpicked by him to be in that group. And I think just after every match, it's nice to have his eyes on basically every single thing we do, because I value his opinion honestly a lot more than I'd say most people in this business. So to have him to be able to give critiques to us, everything, clean up everything. I think it's honestly the best thing that could happen to us. So I'm stoked. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you look at TNA, I look at TNA as an evolutionary standpoint in the industry. And when I say that, I mean they elevated women before women were elevated. Yeah. They elevated tag teams before tag teams were elevated. And now you see all these other companies kind of taking suit, like WWE bringing the MCMG over there to elevate their dying tag team division. Because let's be honest, they only had 2 or 3 really good tag teams in WWE. And now they have the Motor City Machine Guns, which elevates the product extramentally, because those guys are what I consider to be the grandfathers of modern day tag team work. And then you look at TNA, they lose the MCMG, but they also bring in all these great tag teams to keep the evolving tag team division growing. How cool is that to be part of that, I guess, next stage of evolution, especially in tag team wrestling?
Sure. I mean, even to the idea of even trying to fill even a tiny hole of what obviously MCMG leaves. I mean, there's so many other tag teams that are going to be filling that space and are going to be stepping up to the plate, but to even try and play a part in that and try and make sense of the tag division again. I mean, it's booming right now, so I'm really stoked to be involved in it. And there's a lot of teams I still want to work, so it's cool.
Well, speaking of that leads perfectly to my next question. That's how fluid we are. Who do you want to work? Who's not to say the cliche dream question, but right now looking at the TNA tag team division, who would you love to sink your teeth into with some kind of a storyline or some kind of a match?
Yeah, I mean, obvious. Hardy's would be cool. Hardy's would always be cool at any stage of my entire life, and especially right now as an actual signed wrestler. I think that's insane to say, and to think that I'm co-workers with them is crazy. Also, we've gotten a chance to face some like pretty good, amazing teams so far, and I mean a rematch with basically every single one of them sounds like a must. I would like Edwards and Myers as well. I mean there's a lot to be learned. There's a lot to be learned from a lot of teams there. I'm hoping yeah, we get to work some more independents too on the East Coast. There's a lot of teams on the East Coast that I still want to, get our first with. Miracle Generation is a big one. They're so amazing. I want to work them really bad. So hopefully that happens. Yeah.
I think it will happen. It will happen. You guys are too good for it not to happen. And, to go back to the rubs from good people like a Josh Alexander, who when I interviewed him, and I brought that up in our last conversation, he said you were one to watch.
Yeah, cool.
Now I don't feel like you're one to watch anymore. I feel like you're one that's being watched. Sure. It's not, just keep an eye on the radar for him. Now you have that kind of platform and that staple to exceed all of your own personal expectations, whatever that may be. Sure. In the short term, obviously the tag team titles are something you vividly have your eyes on.
Of course.
But in the long-term game, could we see a Judas Icuras in the X division? Could we see, Sinner and Sate not so much break up, but split apart to go on kind of singles runs on their own? Sure. Not that I want Sinner and Sate to go anywhere anytime soon, because I love the work that's being done. Yeah. But do you see yourself, I could see you going 60 minutes with a speed bomb like Bailey. Right. I could see you going 60 minutes with a Trey Miguel. And that's me being a fan and respecting the work that you put in. Because where you were a year ago and where you are now, I see the growth. And I see the growth in the best ways possible. I got a chance to see you in an intimate setting last night. Did 3 matches back to back. Yeah. It didn't go your way, unfortunately. Yeah. But, what's that like, man? Just the fact that you're evolving at such a rapid pace, but you still even said yourself there's still so much to learn.
Yeah. It's just honestly getting yourself out there, and it's also just not being complacent and not being basically happy with your spot, essentially. There's there's never really been a lot of points in my career where I've been okay, cool, I can kind of chill out now. Every single thing that I've gotten, even when we got signed, I was and it's very cliche, but it's the work does kind of begin there. You know what I mean? You haven't done anything. You really haven't done anything. You got signed, and it's very cool, and it means a lot, and it's really good for your name. But until you do something there, it doesn't mean anything, right? So, and I've kind of always had that mindset. There's been maybe a handful of times where I've been able to kind of sit back and really enjoy what I've been doing, but the rest of the time, I think it's honestly just been on to the next thing. Let's make new goals. Move goalposts. And I think that's the most important part. I think people sometimes just get not even complacent.
Comfortable? Would you say comfortable?
I think comfortable, but not even in the forefront of their mind either. You know what I mean? They're just they think they're still elevating and stuff. And I think that is the case. Sometimes you do have to settle out and work in one place for a while or something. You know what I mean? But I think it's just always pushing forward. And it's sometimes it just kind of comes and works out for random ways that don't really make any sense, honestly. Promoters reaching out to you for once is crazy. You know what I mean? That's a crazy experience. You're not having to message people anymore. That's a nuts thing to feel, and just getting flown out places is insane. You know what I mean? Being everywhere every weekend is crazy, and you never feel like you're worth it either. Personally, at least to me. So I think that's also the same mentality is I feel like I gotta prove it still every time. Yeah, right. So I
actually get what you're feelings on that in terms of proving yourself. I've been grinding with the podcast for 9 years, and it's been humbling to have the opportunity to speak to people. But now when people remember you, people are like, yeah, I'll totally give you time because the last conversation was so relaxed, last conversation was so fun. Hearing those words from everyone, it makes me feel like, oh man, am I doing this? I'm doing the right things, but at the same time, do I deserve to be here? So I get that whole imposter syndrome feeling. Not saying you have that, but I get the consistent need. So you do have that. So does it? For me, it's never gone away, and I don't think it ever will. Do you think for you, even if you reach the heights of the career that you want to reach and you keep moving those goalposts, will you ever feel like, okay, you know what, I know I belong?
No, and I think that's a super important part of just always trying to better yourself I think I'm always going to feel that. I think that's one of the main feelings that honestly drives me in wrestling is just imposter syndrome and thinking of the opportunities that I've gotten that other people that I consider better than me haven't. I think it's hard to not try and work as hard as possible in the ring when I'm in there I think I don't think I'll ever lose it, honestly, and I think it's better that way.
Well, I can tell you from a fan perspective, because at the end of the day, as much as I love talking to you guys and the stories that we get to share and the questions that I get to answer and I get to hear these impactful responses, I feel like you do belong here. And I feel like you've proven yourself, but if you feel like you still have the chip on your shoulder to continue to prove yourself, hey, there's no rest for the wicked.
Yeah.
That's 100% real. Now, short-term goals, I mean, you're talking about promoters flying you out internationally, you're getting recognized, you're getting more opportunity. Is there a place or a country or a destination that you haven't hit yet that you feel is on your radar, that Judas Icuras has to kind of put his stamp here?
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially with like with being with TNA, I think really reaching out to the East Coast generally, because I've done a lot of Ontario, but East Coast America I feel like has been pretty uncharted for me for the most part. So I think going out there with TNA pretty consistently has been awesome. I love the opportunities that they've given us and that they've I've been able to place us in really good spots, and I think just making it out there as much as possible. Obviously, like any wrestler you'll ever meet, Japan would be amazing, the UK would be amazing. Those would be my big main ones. I would like to be in Japan regardless, just to be there. Yeah, I really want to travel a lot of the world, and to do that as wrestling would be ideal, would be the best way to travel, honestly, right? So, there's lots of places, but I would say, like East Coast, U.S., a lot of different states up and down the East Coast, and then let's say Japan, yeah.
I feel like you're a student of the game in a lot of ways, because I feel like you and MJF kind of have that same mindset in terms of you're always studying. You're always kind of watching, learning, understanding, growing, evolving. Evolving would be the key point. When you hear something like that, when somebody says, you're a consistent student of the game, and I think that's what you need to be successful in pro wrestling, is to consistently be a student. What does that mean for you?
Like a consistent student of the game.
Yeah.
Sure. I honestly feel like it's, I mean, it's watching everything that I think like suits you. I think it's also watching stuff that doesn't suit you. I think it's just like getting ideas from everywhere, honestly. Like I think it's always having wrestling in mind. Like you watch, like a dance video, you know what I mean? And they do like some crazy flip or something. I can't do crazy flips, but like they do some kind of like two-person assisted maneuver, like that could be a freaking wrestling move, man. You know what I mean? Like that's where I get, like, anytime I do something that's like kind of unorthodox or something, it's from somewhere that's usually like not wrestling at all, because the human body works in like so many different ways, and wrestling sometimes kind of pinholes people to move and react in different ways, and sometimes you have to like look outside of the box. So it's not only wrestling, it's like everything. It's martial arts, it's like stunt acting, it's all kinds of stuff. But obviously the most important part is watching your matches, watching your own matches back, having a good idea of like how you move, how you could do things better, how you could react better, all these different things. I think that's like honestly one of the most important parts. I know a lot of people that don't really like watching their own matches back because they're like, oh, it's like cringy. It is. It is.
Is it really that cringy?
It's cringy, man. Yeah, it sucks. But when you have to do it. I mean, you have to do it. You have to know how you look when you do things. You have to know what it looks like when you do stuff, man. Like, you got to know. You got to be like, that sucked. Let me try something different. Oh, all the time, dude. All the time. Like, basically, watching a match back, like, usually once a match, I'm like, that sucked. Yeah, so maybe I'm not doing that again, or I'm tweaking that, or something's happening with that, right? So, yeah. I think that's what being a student of the game is, watching, think about wrestling a lot. Yeah.
I like that. And my final question, because I'm a fantasy booker a little bit myself, I'm an armchair booker. I think, wouldn't it be great to see Sinner and Saint versus the Hardys, no titles on the line, in a TLC match?
What are we grabbing? What are we grabbing at the top?
Pride. A bag of pride. Fine, okay, listen, fine. Titles are on the line. TLC match.
Yeah, there we go.
How insane would that be to wrestle the innovators of the TLC match in a TLC match?
Sure, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that would be the absolute world. I mean, that would be, bar none, as far as, like, my career's gone, 100%. That would be, like, the best. Yeah, I think that's happened for sure, so if that does happen.
Nice. And bonus question, just because I think it's fun. People love to create their favorite wrestlers in the WWE universe, the 2K version. Yeah. I have seen some Judas Icuras out there.
Nice.
What do you think of the fact that you're like being designed now by fans in the video game. And I also heard whispers that TNA may be coming back with their first video game. I've heard just rumors. Nothing's official, but I've heard rumors because they haven't had a TNA game since Xbox 360. So we're due. We're due for a TNA game. But how cool is it to know that there are skins of a Judas Icuras out there? You may have not seen them, but they are out there.
I saw them.
And what do you think?
I saw them. I'm a little skinny in them. Honestly, you could have beefed me up a little bit. It's fake. It's a fake wrestling game, man. Like, you could have just added a couple ripples. But otherwise, pretty cool. I mean, honestly, not pretty cool. It's like, again, imposter syndrome. It's like, I can't believe people are doing that, man. Like, anybody gives a damn about me, so it's cool. Yeah, it's really awesome.
I love that. I love that. This conversation was short, sweet, and simple, but it's what we do here on Straight Talk. We hit them hard, we hit them quick, we hit them fast. And as always, man, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. I appreciate the time.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Guys, that's it for this one with the Van City Vulture. Peace, love, and wrestling. See you next week. Peace.
We just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's hit the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.